Headphone highlights. Welcome back. Man, we got a interesting set today. I'm not going to waste your time. We're just going to jump right into it. Today we're talking about the Hifiman HE6se version 2s. Let's take a quick gander here. You can already see right away. You look through that grill and you see that absolutely massive planar magnetic driver in there. That's what that little kind of like yellow shape behind the grill is. That is the driver. It's an array of magnets for the planar magnetic driver. So yeah, planar headphone, open back, super open back. And looking at this, for those of you who have been watching the headphone highlights for a while now, you might be thinking, that looks very, very familiar. Haven't we already talked about these? Well, you would be excused to think that because they're very, very close. These are our much, much loved HE560s. And yes, they're extremely similar in their build and construction. No doubt about it. But they are different headphones for sure. And I'll go into that later. But yeah, the look is absolutely, the build on these is pretty much identical. And when we get to talking more about build, you'll kind of get a better understanding of that. Come on, camera. Don't worry about me. Get on the headphone. There you go. 560s, HE6ses. They're different. Okay. The build. I'll go over this, but again, it's very, very similar to the 560s. You have the same exact metal yoke system. You have the same exact headband. And the headband does have a little bit of comfort and cushioning underneath the pad here. It is wrapped in kind of this faux leather, protein leather kind of wrap. It's very soft feeling on the top and the bottom. It uses a clicking adjustment system. I don't know if you can hear that. It's not the best system, just like with the 560s. It feels a little mushy. It doesn't do the best job of kind of maintaining a particular size. You kind of have to finagle it a little bit. And while it doesn't have any kind of markers on here to help indicate exactly the kind of height adjustments you want, you can look on the inside. You can see these tiny, tiny little edges on the inside that can kind of help you determine the general height adjustment of the headband. The cup for the driver, this is a plastic cup and a metal grill covering the driver right there. The pads are the exact same. Let me double check. Okay. So the pads are like on the 560s. They are a hybrid pad, though they are a little bit different. They have a slightly different sort of face fabric on the top of the pad here. So on the 560s, we had kind of a velour face on the pad. This is more like a shirt cloth texture for the top of the pad here. And then the inside is perforated. So this is absolutely a hybrid pad. Perforated on the inside, jersey texture on the outside, and then the protein leather around the edges. So, but it's a good pad. It's got pretty good plushiness. It's pretty comfortable. It's not a lot of ear volume, just like with the 560s. So you're only getting about a 2.5 knuckle all around fit for your ear volume. So much like what we've talked about with the 560s, rather than it kind of comfortably, immediately, without any kind of fussing, fitting directly around your ear to have that over-ear fit, you do have to sort of scoop your ears into the cups a little bit, but it's not terrible. It's pretty fine. I put these on and it's barely touching my ears. The back of my ear is kind of pushed up against the wall of the pad, but it's otherwise pretty good. And it is still very much an over-ear headphone. And these are extremely open. These are more open than even the 560s. I can hear absolutely everything in this room. My voice sounds pretty much exactly the same as it would without wearing these at all. So very, very open headphones for sure. The yoke and adjustment system is, it pivots all the way in and out. And you could do just the slightest bit of movement here as well. Just a tiny bit. It doesn't have the best feel where the yoke connects with the adjustment bracket. It just feels a little, I don't know if you can hear that, but I don't know, just kind of wobbly. but it has not failed me and it's doing just fine. You do have your right and left indicators on the inside. Right here is your R. It's a little hard to see on the camera. And then right there is your L. Exactly the same as the 560s in terms of build. And the comfort is also going to be exactly the same as the 560s. We're really rushing along on this. Makes it really easy. Yeah, the fit is identical. The pads are a little bit softer feeling because they don't have that velour. So, well, not softer. That's not the right word. They don't feel as warm as they do on the 560s because the velour in general, at least for me, kind of gives me more of a warmth on my ear. So these feel a little cooler on my ear, but otherwise the fit around the ear is almost identical. They're not very heavy, which is great because they are planar magnetic headphone. These are huge planar drivers, but they don't weigh a whole lot. Yeah, they don't weigh a whole lot despite having quite a bit of metal construction and these giant drivers, which is interesting. I'm not entirely sure how they manage that, but yeah, they don't weigh a whole lot. And on the head, they feel really nice. The headband, while it looks really bulky and clunky and probably a little heavy, it's really not. It's very soft, and it's the way that it, again, shapes to your head, just like with the 560s. It's like the perfect shape for my head. So the weight of the headphone on the headband is perfectly evenly distributed from here all the way to the top. So I don't feel any kind of like hot pressure points anywhere on top of my head. In terms of clamp force, there's really not that much of it. They're mostly just sort of sitting there. There's a tiny bit. They're not super light clamp like, say, the Ship 9500s are. But just like with the 560s, they're nice. It's a nice balance of a little bit of clamp to kind of keep them on the head without it being a fatiguing amount of clamp. So good clamp force. The pads are really nice. You know, they could be softer, I suppose, but they feel pretty good. I have no complaints with the pads. I had no complaints with the headband. And I'm not really hearing, if I move my head around, I'm not hearing like a bunch of like creaking and stuff. So that's good. So yeah, the comfort is exactly the same as the 560s. We're going to give them the exact same cloud comfort scale, which is a cloud comfort of 7. 7 clouds of comfort for our cloud comfort system, our cloud comfort scale of comfort. Now we could talk about sound. And this is where I really want to talk about this. One of the biggest questions I think that is on people's mind about these headphones that isn't really being asked all that lot is, are they just like a straight up better headphone from the 560s? Like, are they an improvement over them? Are they like, if you buy the 6SEs, are you replacing the 560s? No, absolutely not. No, you're not. You're not. And that's great. I was worried about that myself. I was really worried that I would have to, retire my beloved 560s, which I absolutely adore these freaking things. But luckily I don't have to do that because they're very different sounding. This is going to be a very similar discussion to when we talked about the Koss KPH 30Is versus the Koss KPH 40s. It's a very similar situation. The 560s are still the go-to for just high intensity, high tempo, crazy, wild, power metal ridiculousness. These have the speed and agility and energy to really make that kind of thing work. These go a different direction with it. While these have a whole bunch of high intensity, these are much, much more smoothed out. This is a much more relaxed kind of sound. These actually sound very similar. They sound very similar to the LCDs that I love so much, my benchmarks. And that's a big deal because these can be, emphasis on the can, these can be one of the best value headphones that you could possibly buy. And I say can because that is based entirely on whether or not you buy these on sale. Be ready for this. The standard price for these headphones, the MSRP for them right out of the box, $1,800. Hold on. before you just jump ship and not even consider them. Hold on a minute. Yes, $1,800. That is a huge amount of money. And I cannot recommend them at that price. And I really insist you do not spend $1,800 on these because they go on sale constantly. Now, unfortunately, I can't tell you when they go on sale, and I can't even tell you at what price they will go on sale because, unfortunately, when they go on sale and for how much seems to be, man, completely random anytime, anywhere throughout the year. It's a little obnoxious. It's very difficult to get just a screaming deal on these because the sales just go in and out all the time. But on average, I'll give you the average. On average, you can get this $1,800 headphone for between $500 and $600. That's kind of the average sale for these. So you're saving a lot of money. A lot. I mean, $1,200 off is kind of the average. If you're really crazy, super ridiculously lucky, you might be able to grab these for like $400. So that's where this all comes together. They can be an extremely good value of a headphone if you can get them on sale. And you really should. You should not spend $1,800 on these. They are wonderful headphones, and we'll get into the sound and explain why. But not for $1,800. Oh my gosh. So the sound is absolutely wonderful and lovely. I don't want to say they're worth their price tag, but they kind of are. The sound is absolutely fantastic. It's absolutely amazing and incredible. The clarity is very hard to match. Again, the closest thing that these come to in terms of how they sound are my HE6ses. They have absolutely fantastic mid-range performance. There's so much clarity and so much detail in your vocal range, in your mid-bass, and even in your high mids. Everything is so crystal clear, and while maintaining an absolutely wonderful amount of dynamics. The treble range is not as fast and snappy as it is with the 560s, but it's a lot more clean. A heck of a lot more clean. A lot more detailed. You're getting a crazy amount of detail with these. A wonderful amount of detail. Some of the most detail I've heard in a headphone, honestly. And the bass range, like your sub bass, is supernatural. Just incredibly high performing bass. It's not muddy, it's not bloated. It's absolutely fluid and natural and doesn't bleed anywhere. It's a perfect amount and absolutely honest and true. So there's hardly any flavoring to this. This is a very neutral sort of sound, and it's just natural is going to be the word to describe these. These sound real. These sound absolutely real. This is the closest thing I think I have heard to just almost like just being in a room with really awesome speakers. These sound absolutely fantastic, natural, and real. They are very, very open, like I discussed earlier, so you're getting a huge amount of soundstage. A huge amount. More soundstage than you get with the LCDs. The soundstage on these is comparable to even like the Argons. Like, it's a huge amount of soundstage. These sound massive. And it's all-encompassing. It's a 360 degrees of imaging. So you're hearing absolutely everything from everywhere. And it has this wonderful airiness and distance to it. Absolutely incredible sort of spatial awareness and performance on these. Despite this soundstage, the vocals are very intimate. Not in like they're beaming right into your ear, but they sound like they're right in front of you. And they're singing to you. And it's almost as if you can hear their voice projected directly at you and then naturally vibrating off and bouncing off the ambient room around you. It's wild. It is so real sounding. Genuinely one of the best sounding headphones I've ever heard. And if you can get them on sale, absolute insane value. Insane value. If you can get these for $600, man, that's going to be really, really tough to beat in terms of just raw audio performance, because these are insanely good. Insanely good. But it's not a replacement for these. I got to reiterate that. The 560s should still be on your shelf because they still have the speed and intensity that you're just not really getting with the 6SEs. And I think that's because the 6SEs are so much more focused on detail and a flat, even, natural sound signature that they're not going for intensity, they're not going for energy. They're going for just luxury? It's almost a luxurious sound. I don't really know how else to describe it. It's incredible. And they don't really look like much, and I think that's kind of cool about them. Because then, my God, they are absolutely phenomenal sounding. One thing I will say that I think is adding to this $1,800 price tag for these headphones, and I should have brought this up in the build, but I'm going to show you the cable that these come with. These come with one cable, just one, and here it is. It's an XLR, so it does terminate to a balanced XLR. The insertion is with a simple 3.5 millimeter, dual entry 3.5 millimeter, which are labeled L and R if you want. There you go, L and R. That's nice. This cable you can buy by itself through Hifiman's website. And if you choose to do so, if you choose to buy this cable by itself, you're going to end up spending $400. This is a $400 cable. And I will say that this is perhaps the worst $400 cable I have ever seen. Oh my God, is this cable bad? This cable, I don't know if you're seeing this. See this twistiness? This is never coming out. I can't do anything but laugh at this freaking cable. This cable is insane. I cannot believe how much they charge for this. I'm going to do my best to show this on camera, but I don't think the camera's going to be able to pick this up very well. Look at this. Show this cable. The audience has to see what we're dealing with here. There you go. Look at how it's like got all these points that are like janked up and bent. That's just how it is. That's not like from me playing around with it. It's all kinky and gross looking. It looks like, I don't know, like a medical tube or something. It's so ugly. And it feels awful in the hands. This is, again, the camera's not going to be able to show this off very well. But what this is it is see-through. It's a clear, though kind of matte clear plastic like vacuum cord, and on the inside is just the raw copper cables for the actual the raw copper wires for the individual left and right channel inserts. So you got, I guess, your like left and right and ground wires going through both of these, not like wrapped and controlled and like stuck together. If you look into this tube, you could see that the wires are just like floating there freely. And then it comes down here into this little splitter. And then now you have just 4 bare wires just in this tube, this gross looking tube. Then they're not like even with no attempt at all to like have them maintain any kind of evenness. They're just in there loose, and oh my God, it's just the worst. This cable is abysmal. It's atrocious. This is one of the worst cables I have ever seen. And it might look pretty bad on camera, but you really have to try it out. Like rubberized hose, yes. It's just like a rubber hose with some bare wires inside of it that are just loose and dangling around. You could squeeze this and feel them like moving around. Oh my God. This cable is absolutely atrocious, and I cannot believe it's worth $400. I think it's kind of one of those like legacy things. I believe one of the Hifiman's earlier very popular headphones from like the 70s or whatever came with this cable. And so it's kind of like, oh, it's our premium cable from back in the day kind of thing. But it's abysmal. It is atrocious. This cable is awful. Truly awful. I can't help but laugh. Despite that, despite the terrible cable, and despite the very simple build, and some of the kind of cheaper choices for the build, the sound performance on this is absolutely outstanding. And again, it has the potential for being one of the best value headphones you could possibly buy. You have to get it on sale, but if you can, and you probably can because again, it goes on sale all the freaking time. Oh man, you're getting a hell of a bargain. A very popular thing that happens with these headphones, and even with the 560s I didn't really talk about, is that these headphones very often do have a modding community around them. People like to mod these. One of the most popular mods is just a simple swap of the grill here. Behind the grill is like a mesh dust protecting cloth. And then you have this, hold grill here. So what people like to do is actually remove the cloth and put a much more open grill on here. And that has apparently the potential to even improve the sound even more. So I do plan on doing this mod and trying it out. And when I do that, I will make a video for it. And you guys can all follow along as I mod these headphones. So that's in the air. That's coming around the corner. But yeah, man, the HE6se's are incredible. They are also, here's the caveat, probably of the headphones that I own, these are probably the single most power hungry headphones I own. Oh my God, do you have to have a lot of power to drive these properly? Holy crap. These are not efficient whatsoever. You will not be able to enjoy these at all unless you have a very powerful dedicated headphone amplifier. Understand that. You need a powerful, not just a headphone amplifier, a powerful headphone amplifier to really get these to do what they're capable of. Man, are they power hungry. Holy crap. So yeah, they're amazing. They're great. Get them on sale though. Please don't spend $1,800 on these. I mean, kind of worth it, but you don't have to. That's the thing. Yeah, they're kind of worth it, but you don't have to spend that much. So please don't. I love them. They're insane. But I also still love these. Keep my 560s because they can still do things that can't.